Hi, I'm Kavan Reedon.
I'm Josh Galermo.
I'm David Vaya.
And today we will be interviewing Mr. Mike Huwiler.
We know you grew up in Milwaukee. When and where were you born?
I was born on January 4th, 1972, like 6:30 a.m., St. Joseph's Hospital, Milwaukee.
Tell me about your parents or your family background.
Parents, John and Mary Ellen, excuse me. John and Mary Ellen, so they're still kicking it. John was an MUHS grad also, 68, I think, something like that, was around there, 60s. Mom went to DSHA. Both grew up actually my mom grew up in Chicago for a little bit, and then they moved up here to Milwaukee. My dad's originally from Milwaukee. I don't know. That's about it. I mean, anything else? What else? We got some more questions. There we go.
What was your family like? Your relationship with your family?
Oh, good. I had a real good relationship. I mean, obviously, everybody has their ups and downs. As, kids get older and want to fight back a little bit more. So I had my moments with my parents. But overall, I had a great relationship with my parents. They're always very supportive of what I wanted to do or what I was doing. Were willing to do just about anything to make it happen. So I was really lucky.
So obviously growing up you went to St. Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
So did you practice Catholic, believe in God?
Yep. Did all that and still do. I would say once I left high school, went to college, I didn't really practice that much. Special occasions or holidays, I'd usually go, but it wasn't a regular thing for, I don't know, several years. I'd say probably until, early 2000s. So a good 10 years. I'd say I was just kind of a part-time practicer.
Was that because of time-consuming, let's say practices for soccer?
No, it wasn't. No, I mean, you can always make the time. I just didn't make the time. And it was just a choice I made, and my mom wasn't real thrilled about it, but she learned to live with it, and I finally came back around, so.
What kind of contact did you have with some of your other relatives growing up?
What kind of contact? Good kind. I mean, all of my family pretty much lived in Milwaukee while I was growing up. So we were a pretty tight family. So any sort of holiday or birthday or just to get together, we'd all get together. Aunts, uncles, cousins. I still got really good relationships with all my cousins. Some of them live in town, but some of them live out of state. But whenever they come back, we always get together for at least something, whether it's just to go out for a bite to eat or hang out at my parents' house and have a cookout there or something. But yeah, I mean, I've had great relationships with everybody in my family, from my aunts and uncles to great aunts and uncles, grandparents, brothers, sisters.
How often is it that you spend time with your extended family?
Oh, weekly. Yeah, I mean, I'll see, both my brothers live out of state now, so I don't see them as much. I would see my parents, maybe not weekly, but every couple of weeks for sure, or at least talk to them on a fairly regular basis. Talk to my cousins every now and then. My aunt lives in Florida now, and one uncle lives here in Milwaukee. Another uncle lives in Florida. Two of them live in Florida. So everyone seems to be moving away the older they get. But yeah, we always have a good time when we see each other, and I'd say we see each other a good amount.
Do you see them more or less than when you saw them when you were a child growing up?
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably maybe a little more like my cousins, because they're older and we can do more adult things together. So we don't always just see each other on during the holidays or birthdays or whatnot. There's other things like my one cousin's having a barbecue fest this coming Saturday, which he has every year with just friends. No parents, no adults allowed, so to speak. So yeah, we get together quite often, but yeah, I'd say it's a little more now from when I was a little kid, for sure.
What do you remember about your grandparents when you were growing up?
My grandparents on my mom's side were real religious, practicing. Like, they went to church every day. And then every time we had to stay with them, we'd go to church every day. So 7:30 Mass over at Christ King. I don't know if they still have that. We were going there every day, anytime we would spend a night there. But they were hardworking, caring. On my dad's side, my grandfather died when I was younger. I was probably only about 10 or 11, and he passed away. But he was a lot of fun. He liked his toys. He was a veteran. He was in the Korean War and World War II. So he had an old Army Jeep that he brought back, and he liked boats. So he kept buying boats and bigger boats after bigger boats. So I remember we'd always go up north with them, up to Door County every year for a couple weeks and hang out on the boat, go to the beaches and out to eat. But yeah, I wouldn't say they weren't religious, but they weren't as religious as my other grandparents were on my mother's side, the McEwens. But yeah, they were, again, both very caring, hardworking, much like my parents. I mean, all the values they had, they passed on to my parents, so I got pretty lucky there too.
Do you ever still go up to Door County and
Oh, yeah.
on a boat?
Uh-huh. Not necessarily on a boat anymore,
Or just
but yeah, we still go up to Door County. My parents still go up there, I don't know, a dozen times a year, a lot. Me and my wife try and get up there, at least once or twice a year. Now we go up with the kids. So yeah, we definitely try and get up there as much as possible. We like it up there. And up north in the northern woods area too.
You said that your siblings both now live in different states,
Mhm.
and so you don't get to spend time with them as often. Can you describe what your life was like when you grew up with them as a kid?
Well, me, so I got two younger brothers, Joe, and then Kevin's the youngest. Me and Joe are exactly 10 months apart. So you guys can figure that one out. So I was born January 4th, 72. He was born November 4th, 72. Let's make us, you guys know what that is? If you're born in the same year? What's that called?
I cannot say that, dude.
Irish twins.
Oh,
So we're Irish twins. And then Kevin's 6 years younger. So me and Joe were very tight, real close. Obviously because we're basically the same age. And I was pretty close with Kevin too. I'd say once we got around, 8th grade, freshman year, when I was turned freshman, the relationship between my brother Joe and I lessened. I had my path and he had his path, and they were different. So we had our differences for a couple years, but nothing wasn't to the point where we didn't talk to each other or anything. But we had different friends. We weren't doing things together all the time, and we grew up always playing on the same soccer team, same baseball teams. Anything that wasn't school related, we were playing together. Kevin a little younger, so he's just a little brother,
yeah.
We picked on him a lot, still do. But our relationship, when I left for college, he was still pretty young. He was still only, 12, 13. So we didn't have the same relationship that me and my other brother did at that part of our lives. Now that we're all older and whatnot, it's, everything's the same. We all hang out together, have a great time.
Do Do you think your relationship with both your brothers have strengthened just based off like maturity in a way?
Yeah, for sure. You know, and things happen in life too. You know, I got cancer the first time in 2003, and I think that was a big eye opener for everybody, and especially my brothers too. So, yeah, our relationships have just gotten stronger over the years. Bonding a lot more. Can talk about stuff we didn't talk about when we were younger. So it's good, but we still like to jab each other when we can,
Yeah.
as brothers do.
What kind of cancer is?
The first one was testicular cancer, stage 3. So they found it really late. Everything had metastasized to my lungs. Had a tumor on my vocal cords. I was talking like this for about, I don't know, 8 months. They weren't sure if my voice was even going to come back. But yeah, so I went through chemo for 3 months. Had a couple surgeries. And they didn't really give me a good outlook at first, but my body reacted to the drugs really well. So things got better once we started doing the chemo. So it was positive.
Coming from that experience, my cousin died when he was 16, just from cancer, and that I feel made my family closer.
Mhm.
Did that make your family closer?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we were already pretty close, but yeah, something like that happens when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
You start to look at life and appreciate things a little differently, I think. Look at things differently. I sure do now. But yeah, I had a lot of support, especially from my family, but friends and friends of friends. And, I mean, we had all kinds of fundraisers. We raised a ton of money, you know, because obviously those kinds of medical costs are costly. But yeah, no, I mean, even my friendships with my buddies I grew up with, even those got stronger. So I'd say all across the board, yeah, just it made everybody appreciate everyone else a little bit more.
So you just mentioned your buddies that you grew up with. Would you be able to describe the community you grew up with, or you grew up in, and kind of the people you surrounded yourself with?
Well, I grew up in like the Washington Heights area. So over there by, I was on the Tulsa side, so I was just outside of Milwaukee. But yeah, all my friends growing up were either from that Washington Heights area, the Subs area, and then I had friends that I met from that lived around me. Most of those kids went to Bernard's or Washington, but they were guys I'd played soccer with. So we had you know, I guess typical. Actually, I wouldn't say it's typical now. It was typical back then. I mean, we'd get up and we'd play until it was dark out, and then we'd come home and eat. You know, we didn't have cell phones or beepers or anything like that. So parents just kind of trusted you, which is a little crazy to think that, you know, 30, 40 years ago you could just let your kids run around wherever you wanted to. Now it doesn't happen so much. But yeah, we did typical kid things, run around the neighborhood, go down to Hawthorne Glen, play soccer, play baseball, play football, strike out. We just run around the neighborhood, ride our bikes wherever, go play down on the river in Tulsa. Yeah, I think we did pretty normal things for back then.
Are you still good friends with any of the St. Sebastian's friends you had back then?
Yep, those are still some of my best friends. Let's see, there's at least a half a dozen that I still keep in contact regularly, who I've all known since first grade, a couple of them since like kindergarten. Yeah, and most of those guys went here also. But yeah, I still keep in great contact with all of them. Yeah, we went through a lot of stuff together, so we kept those relationships going.
So you talked about the community you grew up in and kind of your friends. Can you describe how you kind of picked up soccer
So, yeah, well, my dad was he was a baseball player, and a good baseball player. He had he was asked to go to I think a AAA camp with the Orioles a long time ago, and he was in love with some girl, so he stayed here and didn't go. So when we moved into Tosa, me and my brother were 7. I think my parents were just looking for something to get us out of the house for a couple nights a week. So they signed us up for soccer, Milwaukee Kickers. That's just really how I started. I mean, my parents had no soccer background. No one in my family has any soccer background, nor did they ever. So it's just kind of a chance thing. You know, we're gonna throw you here, and we have a couple nights free, and see what happens.
So when did you start playing soccer?
When I was 7. Yep. I don't know what year that was. 79, something like that. Yeah.
What was your first kind of reaction to soccer when you started playing? Did you like it at first, or did
Oh
you
yeah, I liked it a lot. I mean, I was faster and stronger than most kids I was playing with, so I succeeded at an early age, and that was fun. But I liked the team aspect about it. I played some individual sports over the years, like did track for 1 year here, and I wrestled 1 year here, and they were fun and fine, but I really enjoy the team aspect of sports rather than just being the one individual.
Did you pick up any other hobbies growing up outside of sports?
Yeah. I collected comic books for a little while. I just pulled those out because my son wanted to read some. I do a lot of backpacking, hiking. That's one of my big passions now. Biking. Anything that's related outdoor. I do a lot of fishing, fly fishing. Not a hunter, but yeah, those are the big ones. Anything I can be outside in nature.
Growing up, you went to St. Sebastian. Can you tell us about some of the sports and activities you did?
Yep. I played soccer, obviously, growing up. I played baseball in the Tosa League. And basketball with St. Seb's. We made a pretty good team. We won the city championship our 7th grade year.
How'd you like St. Sebastian?
Man, I liked it. I guess I had nothing to compare it to. I didn't know any different. I had friends that went to Bernard's, and I could have gone to Bernard's. So it was probably about right in between. So I'm not sure why we went to Seb's. But yeah, Seb's was fun. I mean, obviously, I've still got a lot of great friends from there. And it was. I learned a lot. It was a growing experience. We had a little bit more freedom back then. So we got to walk to school and walk home. Go home for lunch. You could do that back then. But yeah, no, I had really good teachers. A lot of them nuns. I'm not sure how many sisters are teaching there now, but the school is still doing really strong. So.
Do you feel like St. Sebastian influenced your decision to go to Marquette High?
No. I came here because I wanted to play soccer. It was between that and Tosa East, and that was I'd pretty much made my decision around that time frame that I knew soccer was going to be a part of my life going forward. I wasn't sure about any of the other sports. I mean, I was a good baseball. I was good at all the other things I played, but for some reason, soccer that's what really got me going. But no, I came here. I mean, my uncles, both my uncles went there. My father went there, so there was some history too. But soccer was a big key.
So, early in your high school years, you said the shuttle explosion happened here in Milwaukee. Did that have any effect on you or how you lived your life?
No, I don't think so. That's like the first major disaster, I don't know if that's not even a disaster, but first major catastrophe I remember growing up was the shuttle explosion, and they stopped everything and put it on the TV so everybody could watch it, and it was pretty surreal. See this, big, big ship going up and then just bam, gone. So, yeah, no.
So you came into Marquette. I'm assuming you knew quite a bit about the school already because a lot of your relatives had gone there.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about entering Marquette as a freshman?
I felt good. I mean, I had a lot of friends that were coming here too, so I already had a comfort zone. I knew a lot of kids from playing basketball and soccer in grade school who were coming here that I kind of knew, but got to know, more on a personal side. So yeah, I was ready for it. Wanted to be here. It was an easy transition for me.
Going into your high school years, did you stay with that same group of friends freshman year all the way to senior year, or did you adopt new friends?
Oh, adopted a lot of new friends. Yeah, a lot of new friends we all still hang out. We're all kind of, so that core group I had was Sebs. We just kind of added another core of outsiders from, that weren't from Sebs we're all now part of one big group, a wolf pack.
How was your experience with balancing the workload at Marquette and sports?
It was difficult at times. I always made it work somehow, but it wasn't always easy, especially senior year. I was playing with the under-18 national team, and we were trying to qualify for the Junior World Cup. And I don't know, I missed a few weeks in the fall semester, and then, 5 to 6 weeks in the spring semester from just traveling, working and qualifying. We were down in Guatemala most of that time. And the teachers were cool with it. They worked with me, gave me stuff to do and complete while I was gone. And the same with, even the early years before that. So there were always good resources that we could use here, which I'm sure they still have. If you ever needed help or needed to talk to someone. Plus my friends too. My friends were all smarter than me, so I could always rely on them for some help.
Did that traveling around for the junior team, did that have an effect on your relationship with your family?
No, I don't think it had a negative effect in any way. Obviously they were real proud, and it was a choice they knew I wanted to make, and so they did whatever they could to make it happen. Obviously I'm the one that had to put all the work in and whatnot, but yeah, I'm sure it wasn't easy for a parent to have your 16-year-old, 17-year-old leave for a month and go to a foreign country. But no, it didn't. I don't think it affected our relationship in negative or positive, really.
What was the soccer scene like at Marquette when you started playing?
Good. Coach Spielman was here. So we had, already one of the best coaches around, not necessarily just in this area, but, in the state and the region and the country. There was a lot of quality, much like there is now. It was a little different, too, on how it was structured. When I was here, it was in the student handbook that freshmen had to play freshman sports, no exceptions. A few of us tried out for varsity our freshman year. 3 of us made it for a day or two. And then there was some complaints, obviously from some other parents of upperclassmen who didn't make it. And why, as a freshman, it says here clearly in the handbook, freshmen have to play freshman. So they put us back on the freshman team, which was fine. We had no problem with it. It wasn't always the most enjoyable because we had a very good team, and we were beating teams up badly at times, and that's not fun. At least it wasn't for me. But we all had a good time playing with each other and training and just having a good time. I mean, it was freshman year. We were all just trying to figure things out too.
What schools did you find to have the toughest competition when it came to soccer?
When I was playing here, so we had good teams. It was kind of mixed at times, but Pius always had a good team. We lost to them in, I think, my sophomore year. No, my junior year state finals. Brookfield, Central, and East always had good teams. Arrowhead always had a good team. A couple of the Green Bay teams, so like, was it Green Bay, De Pere, Pennings? Is that still a school? You guys ever play them? No. And then Madison West and Madison Middleton were two really good teams when I was growing up also. So there was some decent competition still, but it was also split when I was growing up. So you had the public school side and then you had the private school side. So we would play each other during the season, but once it came to state cup, it was completely separate.
Besides soccer, what other activities did you participate here at Marquette?
I participated in track my freshman year and wrestling my freshman year. That might have been about it. It was just soccer. I was in the German club. But yeah, no, I was too busy playing.
Are there any significant memories you have here at school, whether it's soccer or just interactions with people or friends or teachers?
Huh, that's a good question. I need more time to think about that one. Well, obviously there's always the soccer stuff. That's a given with me. So the state championship my senior year, which is our only one. We had some tough losses before then, so I remember those. I always had good relationships with Janai McLaughlin. You guys know her?
Yeah.
Okay. She was always good to me. And somehow we knew each other, because I think she knew some people I knew before I got here. So she's someone I met early my freshman year and always had a good personal talking relationship with her. Like, she was someone I could always go to and just talk, about whatever. Not necessarily school or a problem, but just kind of have a conversation, chat about things. I don't know if I answered your question.
How early in high school did you start getting recognized for soccer?
My freshman year, I started receiving letters from colleges, but that was really to the extent of it. Technically, they can't talk to you, so it wasn't until I don't know if it was like late junior year when they could start talking to you. But yeah, freshman year I started getting a few letters, and sophomore it was a lot more. Junior year I was getting them all the time, and then senior year I was getting a lot of them early on until the signing date ended.
So were you for sure on going to Virginia, or were you on other
No,
schools?
yeah, I was looking at a couple other schools. UWM was in there. Madison was one of the schools. Indiana And then basically it came down to Santa Clara and Virginia. Those were my two finalists.
Besides soccer and like school and any other activities you were in during high school, did you hold any jobs when you were a teenager?
I didn't. I know. I mean, okay, I guess, yeah, I mean, I did some landscaping for a little while, one summer with some friends. All of my friends someone knew someone who had a landscaping business and he needed some summer help, so I did that for a little bit, but that was pretty short-lived, because we were getting up at like, I don't know, we had to meet somewhere at 6 o'clock every morning, and then he maybe needed us or maybe didn't need us. And I think there was a few times he didn't need us, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
So did that go out like all 4 years to high school?
No, that was just one summer. I think it was, we could drive, so it was probably our junior year. So going into our junior year, so between sophomore and junior that summer. But no, I didn't have the time. I mean, I shouldn't say, I could have probably made time. But even by that point, I was, when the summer came, we were still probably doing 2 or 3 trips with the national teams. The regional team would do stuff every now and then obviously with club ball, we did some traveling also. So I probably could have had one, but it would have been difficult, I think, to keep, unless I would have had the right boss that was really understanding about why I can't be there for the next 2 weeks. But then I come back for a week, and then I'll be gone for another 2 weeks. So that was another thing my parents were real good about. So they knew it wasn't going to be easy, so they made it work.
You said you're pretty much lifelong friends with a lot of your classmates at SEBS.
Mm-hmm.
When you came to Marquette, what were your friends like, and did you mostly like hang out with kids from SEBS, or did you make a lot of new friends as well?
So yeah, we were all a bunch of goofs, to say the least, and even so yeah, we did all hang out, and then we hung out with a lot of other guys, and a lot of those other guys they're either people we played basketball against in grade school, or soccer, for me for the most part. But all the other guys were basically just friends we knew from playing basketball against in grade school. And they were all real good guys. I can't complain about any of them. But we were a bunch of goofs for sure.
So did you, obviously with like club soccer, like the junior national team in Marquette, did you play soccer year round?
Yeah. Yep. Year round, all the time. Obviously in the winter, it was a little more difficult, just because we got no facilities.
Did you do like indoor soccer during the winter?
Oh yeah. No, we'd have practices at Tosa East every weekend. There'd be some random tournaments. So they used to have like a tournament at the field house at Whitefish Bay when I was growing up. So that was always a big thing. The Wave, when they were playing, they used to play in the old arena. So they'd have some tournament, or I don't even know if it was a tournament, but we'd play games down there a couple weekends during the winter. It's kind of like a showcase before the Wave game. And then it wasn't, I don't know when they finally built the indoor facilities around here. I can't remember how old I was then. But I don't remember growing up playing any indoor, like real indoor.
Did you ever feel like when you were growing up playing soccer, whether it was like when you first started, or when you were in high school, or when you were about to move on to college, did you ever feel like you were kind of getting burnt out, or did you run into any obstacles that made you have second thoughts about it? No second thoughts. After my freshman year, after I tried a couple other things with the wrestling and the track, I knew right away that soccer was what I wanted to do, and that's what I was going to pursue 100%.
I wanted to make a living out of it.
What were your expectations going into Virginia?
To continue playing soccer, win a national championship, do well in school, have a lot of fun. Yeah. It was, I mean, I'd been away from my parents before for extended periods of time, but we always had to come home. So it was a little different. Now I was truly far away, not coming home for several months. But yeah, I mean, it was, I wanted to do well in school. I wanted to learn. I wanted to do well in soccer and succeed there. Some of it happened, some of it didn't.
So going into college as a soccer player, and knowing you're going to play in college, do you remember how high you were ranked at the time?
As an individual,
Yeah.
I don't know, do they rank players now individually?
I think Carter.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
No.
How early?
I mean, I guess I would have been ranked pretty high. Because the only gauge we really had back then were parade All-Americans, and I was a parade All-American my junior and senior year. Top defender my senior year, the second defender my junior year. So I don't know. I guess I might have been considered one of the top 4 players in the country at my age back then, possibly.
What about your teams that you played for?
How were they?
Mm-hmm.
They were all right. Earlier on, I played for a team called the Tosa Villagers, and coached by Alex Nikolic. And he's kind of a pioneer in the Milwaukee soccer area. He's one of the founding fathers of the Milwaukee Kickers. And he was my coach in my early years, and we won several state titles and went to regionals. Did pretty well. Never won regionals, but it was a good experience. And then won a couple more state titles after that, but really probably by the time I turned U18, I was doing too much traveling with the youth national team. So I still played for a club team, but just wasn't around them much. And we did all right, but there was another team that had just started back then, and it was kind of like one of those first real hand-picked teams. Zach Papanicolaou was his name. He was the coach, and he just kind of hand-picked all these guys, and it was an Elm Grove team, and they were really good, really good. Dave Sitchie was one of the players. He was an old alumni too, a couple of years younger than me. But those guys were, when I was older, they were probably the better team. And then Bavarians always had a really good team.
So did you play for the national team and Virginia when you were in college, or did you just play Virginia?
Nope, I was with Virginia, and then the next level was the under-23 team, which was the Olympic team. So yeah, I was playing with them also when I was in college.
Where'd you travel with that team?
Ooh, everywhere. All over Latin America, all over Europe, South America. I think those are, they're just, Canada, all over the U.S. But obviously, being in the CONCACAF region, we did a lot in North America and Central America. Those were the big areas we went to the most, I'd say. Although every year we went to France a couple times. There was always a tournament down in the French Riviera in Toulouse, or Toulon. So we went there 3 years in a row, which was fun. And then just some other, sometimes we'd just go over there for a few weeks and train and just play not pickup games, but not necessarily a tournament or any sanctioned game. So it was just a friendly, so to speak.
So going back to when you started off in college for soccer, How was the transition from high school soccer to college soccer? Were you still like as dominant as you were in high school?
No. No, it's a different game. I mean, it's another level up, and it's faster. Guys are bigger, stronger. So there was a bit of a learning curve for sure my freshman year. I had my moments with Coach Reyna. He questioned me a few times. I remember specifically coming in, I don't know, it might have been our second practice or something, and he was pretty heated. And he brings us all into the locker room, and he sits us all down, and first words out of his mouth where he looks straight at me and goes, "Huey, how the hell were you a sweeper on the national team?" I didn't know I'm a freshman. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing, which was the right thing to say, nothing. There was a big learning curve for me, for sure. Different. Obviously, every coach has got a different style. ACC conference to me is still probably the best conference for soccer. I mean, probably that's debatable these days, but I mean every school had a really good team, great coaching. So there was no gimmies. So it was fun, and then it's now you're on your own. You got to take care of your other schoolwork. You got to take care of yourself. There's no mom and dad anymore. So there's a learning curve for sure.
So you being on the under 23 travel team, did that have an effect with your schoolwork in some sort?
Not too many times, no. It did my sophomore year. So that was so my freshman year we did some traveling, but it was a lot of it was obviously off season for the soccer because we played in the fall. So most of the stuff we did was in the spring, and some of it was over breaks or not very long trips because we were starting to qualify then for the Olympics. So we had some early qualifiers in there. But then once we qualified, I had to take second semester off my sophomore year. So I had to take a leave of absence from school because of all the traveling that we were doing. And that was fine. So I was just a semester behind.
So did you ever feel as a sophomore or junior that once this is done, you weren't sure if you would make it to the professional league?
No, I still always believed I would. Yeah, I knew I had the ability. But anyone who plays any sport knows it comes down to consistency too. You can produce great one game, but can you continue to produce every game and every practice? And I knew I had that in me, so no, to me it was no. I still knew that's what I wanted to do, and I was gonna make it happen. We didn't have a lot of opportunities, back then either, not like there is today. But no, I still knew I still believed that's where I was going to end up.
When you transitioned from kind of the college play to playing with pros, how was that transition?
Again, another learning curve. Yep. Now everyone's at that level, So on the college level, you got a lot more people playing. Now, once you get to that professional level, the number's less, but the quality is much higher from everybody. So not too often you were matched up against a bad team or individually on your side of the pitch, whatever. This guy's got a lot of weaknesses. So no, it was good. It was competitive. And that's what I loved about it. I just loved the battle.
So you could always count on it being a good game.
Oh yeah, yep. No, it's sure you have your lopsided games here and there, but those don't happen too often. So yeah, it was again, it was another learning curve. Now you're playing with some guys that too might be 10 years older than you now, who've been playing professional for 10 years, and it's as much as it is a physical game, it's a mental game just as much, just like any sport, I think. So that's part of the learning process and the learning curve too. Once you get into that level, can you handle the pressure, and how do you handle the pressure? How do you take care of yourself, and what do you do?
So in your college career, did you have any hiccups or moments where you doubted your college career and maybe you thought it would stop?
Yeah, it did stop. Yeah, so I made some mistakes. We could probably leave it at that. But yeah, I made some mistakes, and I was asked to leave the team my junior year, at the end of my junior year at Virginia. You guys got Wikipedia, right? I'm sure you've read it.
So did you, from your junior year, so you did not play senior year?
Correct.
And you went just to the professional level
Mm-hmm.
after that?
Yep, went and played with the Richmond Kickers.
Do you feel like not continuing to play for your senior year and just moving on to a different level ended up being advantageous to you, in the long run?
No. I think it would have been better if I would have minded my P's and Q's and was able to stay and play my senior year. That would have been better, for sure.
How did friends and family feel when you weren't able to play senior?
No, I mean, everyone was supportive, but disappointed, for sure. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of disappointment, but we all make mistakes. We got to learn from them, and can't dwell on them for too long. You got to move on and try and make a right from a wrong.
So since your career at Virginia had ended, what were some of the better moments that you guys had as a team?
That I had in my playing career after I left Virginia?
During.
Oh, during Virginia, what were some of the highlights? Well, national championship was one. I mean, that would be the big one. I mean, we won the ACC championship too. We had my sophomore year is when the new field at Virginia was built. So we played on turf when I first got there. And then they finally built a soccer-specific stadium with grass, which was nice. That was kind of a highlight. Because we got to play Santa Clara for the opening of that, which was who we beat in the national championship the year before. So that was cool. Yeah, I mean, all my highlights were just probably related around the soccer stuff and winning the national championship, which every college player, that's what they strive to win.
So off the field, did you have many other friends that didn't play soccer?
I did. Oh yeah. The majority of my friends don't play soccer. Of my really good friends, I should say. I mean, I've got some really good friends that obviously who play soccer, but the majority of my friends, at least especially the ones growing up, didn't play soccer. Really only a few of them. The rest of them either didn't play a sport or basketball, football, baseball guys. So, yeah.
Were you the only one from high school, or did you know anyone going into Virginia, or did someone else come with you, or any
Yep.
other classmates?
I knew a lot of guys. There was one guy from Wisconsin who was already there, Chris Kelderman, who you guys might know, who coaches at UWM. So he was already there when was he a senior? Yeah, he was a senior when I was a freshman. So I knew him a little bit. But there were several guys that I knew from playing with the youth national teams growing up. So there was, one, two, three, four of us that were playing on the 18s at that time that all went to Virginia our freshman year. And then there was a couple more that were on the team that were younger that came the next year. So yeah, I knew more guys there than Santa Clara, so I think my comfort zone, I had a nicer comfort zone going to Virginia. I know that was one of the reasons, because I knew more people. I guess it was a little closer to home. And I don't like earthquakes. So I don't know if I didn't want to really live on the West Coast. But yeah, no, I knew quite a few people on the team already before going there.
What kind of bonds did you have with your teammates?
I had good bonds. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, so I could get along with just about anybody, and I did. And yeah, I still talk with some of those guys every now and then, from Virginia. Eric Imler, I still talk with him once in a while. Every now and then, usually around holidays or something like that, a group text will go out with all the guys from the Olympic team. So, you guys know, like Alexi Lalas. You probably see him on TV. We'll chat every now and then, just when those texts go out. And Kobe Jones and Joe Max Moore, some of the guys. Yari Allnut, he was one of my best friends from that team. We were basically roommates for like 2 years in a row. Every time we were on a trip, we were always together. But Eric Imler, I played with him at Virginia too, so we had that bond already. So yeah, I mean, I still talk with them once in a while. Not as much as I'd probably like to, but I can take blame for that too. Not always reaching out. Sometimes you lose track of people when you move and whatnot, and guys get married and have kids. Life moves on.
So after college, you went to Richmond, you said?
Yep.
So obviously it's pretty close to Virginia.
Yep.
So how did you feel making that transition so close to where you went to college and played?
It didn't bother me. It was a brand new team, so I played with them. That was their inaugural season with the Kickers. And they're still around, so they had a plan. Actually, their coach now was a guy on the team, Lee Collishaw, English guy, good guy. But yeah, no, I had no problems. I love Virginia. Virginia it's beautiful. I don't know if you guys ever been there, but yeah, I love the area. I love the mountains in one direction. I can go to the beach in the other direction, which I don't really care for the beach, but I'd rather go to the mountains. But yeah, no, that was an easy transition. There were a couple guys from the UVA team that played on that team also. So I knew some guys, and then obviously a lot of the guys I knew from playing against them, because all of them were more or less from the Virginia area and had gone to Virginia schools. A few guys went to James Madison, some went to Tech, a few went to Richmond. So there's a lot of guys that I kind of knew already. So it was an easy transition.
So you said earlier that you like backpacking and hiking. Do you ever still go there in Virginia on backpacker hike?
Sure do. We went last time we were there was last Easter break. So 7 months ago, last April. Me and my wife and the kids went there. So the Potomac Appalachian Trail Club is a club out there that they help maintain a lot of the Appalachian Trail. You guys know what the Appalachian Trail is? Okay, good. And then they also oversee, I don't know, I think they got about 25 cabins now that are between southern Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia, down to the mid part of Virginia. And some of them are rustic, some of them are a little bit more modern. So we rented another one of those with my family. This is like the third time we've done it now, since I've had the kids, I should say. But yeah, so it was rustic cabin, so no electricity, no running water, no toilet, no plumbing. So you got your wood burner to heat up stuff, and a spring just down from the cabin to get your water, and you got to filter it. And it was about a little over a mile hiking. So yeah, we still do that as much as possible, and just regular backpacking and tenting it, and for staying in a shelter or whatnot, like a 3-sided lean-to. But yeah, no, I try and do that as much as I can. I don't do it as much now that I have 3 kids, so it is what it is. But yeah, we're trying to get the kids involved, so get them start off early. My youngest, we took him on his first camping trip when he was 6 months old. So New Year's Eve camping trip. Yep, gotta love it. Crazy guys taking a 6-month-old on a winter camping trip in the middle of winter.
So after Richmond, you went to Fabre?
Yeah, I was living in, I rented a house in the mountains. It was just, about 50 miles away from Richmond, so it was still close enough that I can get to training and get back after games and whatnot. So yeah, I was playing with Richmond at that time, but just kind of living in the outskirts.
So after the Richmond team, obviously you went to Atlanta, which is a just amazing, massive city.
Mm-hmm.
How was that small
Yeah.
type city in a way going to a massive city like Atlanta?
I don't like big cities. Don't like them at all. Yeah, so if you've ever been to Atlanta, it's like 8 lanes on each side, and they're always packed. And no, so I strategically found a place to live that I wouldn't have to travel on the freeways that often. Close enough to our training facility, and well, it wasn't close enough to the game facility, but that was another story. So yeah, I don't really care for big cities. I didn't like DC either, but I lived in Northern Virginia, which is, I guess, not much different, but I prefer the small towns. That was a big thing about Charlottesville too. I like the small town feel, and I don't know, the last one when we were there in April, that's starting to become a big city. Small, but it's like, man, they just keep packing everybody in there. It's crazy. But no, it was all right. I could live anywhere and adjust to it, but I prefer smaller towns. That's more my style.
What do you think about Milwaukee as a city?
I love Milwaukee. Yeah.
Too big?
No, Milwaukee's a good size for me, because you can almost live anywhere and be 15, 20 minutes from just about anything, especially if you live more towards the central part of the city. But yeah, no, Milwaukee to me I always missed Milwaukee. I knew I'd come back at some point. I wasn't sure when that was going to be. But no, it's still my favorite, for sure, of all the places I've lived.
So, you mentioned to us before this that you'd like to hang out at Gillies in high school, and just places like that. Do you ever go visit places that you used to spend time at, or do you ever around the area you grew up in?
Yeah. I still go to Gillies, not to hang out, but I go and get some custard or some food, take the kids there. Still go down to the Tosa Village, usually during Tosa Fest or something, but that's when we would go down there too, when I was growing up as a kid. So yeah, I still hang out in a lot of the same places sometimes, just doing different things now, more adult things, I guess.
So, after kind of the whole soccer experience, or maybe as it was winding down, your wife, Molly, how did you meet her?
I met her. So when I got sick in 2003, I moved back home with my parents while I was going through treatment and stuff. And we would have, so this was during, so I started treatment in like September maybe. Yeah, probably September. But we'd have people over for Packer games. And one of my brother's good friends' wife, my wife was one of her best friends. So they'd come over with my younger brother, and then they'd bring her every now and then, and that's where I first met her, was just at my parents', coming over to watch a Packer game, and just kind of started talking, and one thing led to another. She was just getting out of a breakup to someone I knew growing up, which was kind of funny. So I used to play soccer with this guy. Not the guy she was dating, but I played soccer with a friend of mine named Shane, and it was his younger brother. So I didn't know him growing up, or when he was older. I only knew him from, when he was, the little brother. So that was small world.
So, when did you guys end up getting married?
2006, February 10th, 4 p.m. St. Francis Borgia in Cedarburg, South Church. So we were supposed to get married. Initially, we wanted to get married in April, on Earth Day. That was the plan. And we had a whole theme and everything ready to go. We were collecting rocks from all of our trips, wherever we went. And that was going to be like your name setting. Your name was going to be on a rock from Virginia or wherever we were, or wherever we had been. But then we found out we were pregnant, so we had to move up the wedding like 2 months, 3 months. So we had a winter wedding. They're pretty fun.
So, did you guys settle down in Milwaukee or back in Wisconsin? Were you already in Wisconsin when you guys got together?
Yep, we were already here. And I was living with my parents, and then when we started dating a little bit more, we ended up moving in together, and that's when I moved up to Grafton. We rented a house up there for, I don't know if it was a year or two, roughly. Yeah, 2 years.
And then, so after you guys moved to Grafton, you headed over back to Milwaukee?
Yep, we bought a house. We made the big move and bought at a bad time.
And you guys are currently in Jackson?
And we are currently in Jackson. Yeah, we moved out there about 3 years ago now. So, which was good. We were in a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with 3 kids in Milwaukee, and we needed more space. 1 more bedroom, 1 more bathroom. And that's what we found.
So how do you like the family life compared to, you've been all over the place, you've been around the world. And
Yeah, family life's awesome. It's obviously not being a bachelor or just a couple with no kids. So a lot of our stuff is based around the kids now, which is fine. It's the life we chose. We enjoy it. The kids have fun. It can be hard at times too. I can't deny that. In trying. But it's now time to, I guess, teach the next generation on how to handle themselves and how to be polite and respectful, and teach them what are between right and wrong. Although sometimes you just have to learn that. So it's good. I enjoy it. I love it.
So obviously soccer has been a huge part of your life, and you've probably made a ton of memories. So for one, what's your favorite team you played for? And then looking back on playing
being like an Olympian and stuff. What was that like?
So what was my favorite team? That's a good one. Probably the 91 Virginia team when we won the championship. A good bunch of guys. Yeah, I'd have to say that was my favorite. We always had a lot of fun. Everyone liked each other. You know, it was the year before that, my freshman year, there are a couple guys on the team that not everybody was fond of, and we all got along. But even that little bit of tension sometimes in the locker room can not be healthy. So that year, you know, we had a couple big-time freshmen came in, so like Claudio Reyna, if you guys know that name. He was a freshman that year, and he was a great player. Probably one of the best to come out of the U.S. In a real long time. But yeah, it was like a little family. You know, we always hung out together, even when we weren't at training. You know, a lot of us all lived together for the most part. I mean, there were maybe three different houses where they were all soccer guys living together. So we had a lot of fun. That would have been my favorite team. And then the second question was about the Olympics, how I liked the Olympics. I liked the Olympics. That was fun. I was young. I was the second youngest on the team. Claudio was the youngest. We were all college guys for the most part. There was a couple of us that were playing some professional ball in Germany, I think is where they were playing. But yeah, I mean, that was an amazing experience. I mean, the majority of us were together for like 2.5 years, living and training together, traveling together, qualifying together. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty surreal experience being there and going to the opening ceremonies and seeing all of these. That was the first year too of the dream team for basketball.
Oh yeah. Well, what was that
So,
like?
yeah, that was kind of funny. So, all the countries we met in one stadium, and that's where we all gathered and just kind of sat and hung out. And then once I called your country, you funnel down and get into the tunnel. But once you got into that tunnel to get into the Olympic Stadium, they had the dream team like on display. Yeah, they just had them there, so everybody could see them and take pictures, and which was a big deal. I mean, you had Bird, you had Johnson, you had Jordan, Barkley. I mean, you had all these Karl Malone. I mean, you had all these people that were known all over the world. So yeah, they were put on display for everybody to see and have pictures taken. Yeah, I even got my pictures. I took some of them too. So.
What'd you take pictures of?
What's that?
Who were you like? What'd you take picture? Who'd you take pictures?
Oh, well, I know I got Johnson in there for sure. Who was the other guy? This is a long time ago. I can't remember. There was 2 other guys in there with him. I can't remember. Well, I mean, it actually wasn't with me and them. It was just them.
Yeah.
I'm walking by and I was like, snap. So.
Did were they like open to talking to any of the other like Americans that were competing? Like, did you have a conversation?
Oh yeah. No, we stayed in the Olympic Village for like 2 nights before the ceremonies actually started, before the Olympics actually started. We played our first game the day before the opening ceremonies against Italy. So we spent a couple nights in the village and got to meet a ton of different athletes from all over the place. But then our next 2 games were in a city called Zaragoza, which was like about a 4-hour drive from Barcelona. So there we really didn't see any other athletes, just our team and maybe some other soccer teams. But then after we were done playing, we got to go back and hang out in the village for about another 5 or 6 days. So yeah, I got to meet a lot of the gymnasts, the girl gymnasts then. God, was it Kim Zamesco might have been one of them, and I can't remember her name. But I meant the coaches. So was it Corelli? I think his name is. I think they just fired him or something happened with him. Met a lot of the swimmers. So what was her name? Summer Sanders. We hung out with her and some of her friends one night. Met some of the track guys. So yeah, we met a bunch of people. We were all right there together. And then you're in this little city that's all athletes from all over the world, and everything's open 24/7, which was kind of neat. So, and we were, within closed doors or security, so it was interesting, having cafes open all the time. You go eat whenever you want. They had a theater open all the time. They had a place where you go play video games. You had your own beach just for the athletes. There was a McDonald's in there, which was kind of funny. But yeah, it was just a bunch of apartments and some parks, and I think that's the whole point behind making an Olympic Village. It's something that can be turned into normal housing once the Olympics are over. So I haven't been back there. I'd like to go back there sometime. Check it out. Yeah.
So, after your soccer career, like what you're doing like currently, what are you currently doing for occupation?
What am I currently doing? So yeah, after soccer, I did a few different things. I worked at Saz's Catering for a while, and then I got sick. And then once I got back healthy and was moving on, I got into the mortgage business for a little while, randomly. I was coaching at Elm Grove, and the owner of the club had a mortgage company and was looking for people, and I was like, oh, I could use a job. So I did that, and then that was only getting paid commission only, and I was about to have a baby, and my wife's like, we have to have paychecks coming in on a regular basis. So it's actually someone I coached here at Marquette back in the early 2000s. His mother randomly calls me up one day and says, hey, she worked for M&I. We got a job opening, and I think you'd be perfect for the position. You should come and interview. And I was like, all right, I guess that's pretty good timing. It's obviously a sign for something. So I started at M&I, working in their purchasing department. I ran the warehouse and worked with all their promotional gear. And then we got bought out, and I got offered a different position with BMO in corporate services is what it's called. So non-banking side. We're kind of the orphanage of the company. Whatever doesn't fit in a specific department kind of gets thrown our way. So then I deal with executive dining, food services, our fleet program in U.S. and Canada. And I work with a couple BCP plans, which are like disaster recovery plans. We work with art and archives. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of things. So, but it's good. It's different. It's not the same every day, that's for sure. And it's a lot of customer service. We deal mostly with internal employees, so we're not really dealing with the outside people so much. So it's fun. It's not my dream job, but I had that already.